Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. This is being recorded. If you are not muted, please mute unless you're speaking. Welcome to Poetry in Brief. The point of Poetry in Brief is to have brief readings from invited poets and short in conversations around a theme each month. The theme this month is identity. So I invited poets whose work spoke to me about identity. We have 7 poets today: Candice Kelsey, Sandra Levy, Erica Gill, Nana T. Baffour-Awuah, Jonathan Fletcher, Lilyanne Kane, and Taylor N. Williams. That is the order in which they will read as well. At the end of the reading, we'll have time for some informal conversations, and I'll stop the recording also. So our theme this month is about identity, and I'm going to ask poets to share 1 to 3 short poems in keeping with the brief theme about identity, anything of their choice. And then I'm going to ask, why did you choose to share this piece? What else are you working on? And how can we help support you? Because that's what this is all about, supporting each other in our art. I'm going to start with Candice Kelsey. Candice is the poet I thought of first when I designed this project, because I've been reading a lot of her work, which spoke to me about womanhood. Candice has 7 books and counting. She's won and been nominated for numerous awards. So I'm going to turn it over to you and ask you to read first. You can say anything you'd like first as well, to read, and then I'll guide you in the questions. I'm going to turn it over to Candice.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I mean, honestly, just huge gratitude to you for pulling this off and putting it together. Your passion is contagious and you inspire me, and I'm sure everyone here. So thank you, Rachel. I'm going to start with this poem titled The Art of Encouragement. I would have cheered her on from the front row, my mother's hair in a clutch of blonde wisps waiting before the bees judges, the auditorium of Stonington Middle School. Her eyes sharp as talons focused, masking the fear of classmates' laughter, of Six Sisters' Skilla Carnival criticism, when the gritty, disembodied voice crackled electric through dust and adolescence. Antarctica. Your word is Antarctica, Jeannie. Disappointment is a long walk home. She forgot the sea. Somewhat silent gull of a letter, third in the alphabet and shape of Pawcatuck farmhouse sleep with Beverly and Donnie, curled in a shared twin bed. C like a cracked egg, or initial that decades later would crown the name she gave me, Candice. Third child, only daughter, another difficult word. Is motherhood just mile after mile of getting it wrong? I think of the marathoners today in Los Angeles, crowds cheering along Hollywood Boulevard, the wheelchair and hand crank participants, the ones with carbon fiber C curves, even those suckered into running, first timers, wide-eyed as a girl in a spelling bee. To encourage someone, according to poet Maggie Nelson, is the unceasing rigorous work of a lifetime. I think tonight of the big bear bald eagles, Jackie and Shadow, whose 3 eggs will not be hatching after all, the thunder snow and 30,000 YouTube followers whose hearts break with mine. Please, Lord, just let one pip break out with a newly formed egg tooth, perfect tool atop its tiny bill to puncture the membrane and take a first breath, like the lifetime of encouragement some daughters wear. I too have feathers I'll never preen. My mother is 80, with the egg tooth of an addled eaglet. Her sister broods eyes, still gritty shells of judgment. The embarrassment I am for flying far from the Wilkinson ways, their headless tree unraveling nests built from, you bitch, you owe me, and you'll regret this. I soar thermal updrafts, incubate a disembodiment from that shallow Antarctic ice. In the coming days, Jackie and Shadow will over incubate. Do they hear us holding out for a miracle? Even so, they will make a slow withdrawal, leaving. Thank you.
Thank you, Candice, for sharing. Can you talk briefly about why you chose this poem for the theme of identity?
Okay, so this one explores how who we are is shaped by what we inherit, and also then by what we learn to let go of or get rid of. So it starts with my mother at a spelling bee. This was a story from our family lore, and that moment sort of was the origin of it. She forgot the letter C, and that letter becomes this symbol of intergenerational sort of transmission that starts my own name. And also, I thought of the C as this cracked egg, this third child who's maybe estranged from the family. So identity maybe is built from fragments, in my opinion, from these small broken things between the generations. So I think also identity is for me, a type of disentanglement. So keeping that Antarctica as the spelling word, also as this barren landscape, this act of disembodying from the shallow Antarctic ice is this self-definition beyond the cycles of a family's, maybe toxic inheritance. So it's not just like where you come from, but also kind of how you respond to where you come from. And for me also, it's this part of growing from those stories. So the symbol of the persistence of Jackie and Shadow sort of tending to something fragile, even though it's not going to hatch the way we want it to. So in the end, it's really self-encouragement as a form of identity making.
Great, thank you. And what are you working on now, and how can we support you?
Thank you. Well, right now I'm working on I have my next collection of poems that I'm sending out into the world to see if anybody, wants to take a chance on them. And then I have two small chapbooks I'm also working on. One's a little bit more about love, unrequited love, and the other is more political in nature. And then I have a poetry collection dropping in the beginning of December with Kelsey Books called Another Place Altogether. So it would be huge support if when that is out, people take a chance on buying it to read and reviewing it and sharing it on social media. That would be fantastic. Yeah, but also just being in community. So hopefully everybody here, we can connect in some way and support each other.
Great, thank you so much. We will have time at the end too for people to share, any links or anything they want in the chat.
Thanks, Rachel.
Our next poet is Sandra Levy. Sandra is really a spoken word artist. When I saw her read on Instagram, which you should follow her, I got the chills. It was so beautiful and powerful. And I was like, I want to read like that when I grow up. And she also has work in some really high profile magazines. So congratulations. Oh, and I know that you're pitching a chapbook as well. So I'm going to turn things over to Sandra to read.
Hi, such gratitude for being on today and for you choosing me. I'm really an emerging poet, and I'm so honored to be here. That was just such a beautiful reading, Candice. Today, I'm choosing a very short poem that's in the chapbook that I'll be talking about in a little while. The title is I Am. I am a daughter who lived with my father locked up, my freedom taken away with him, both of us incinerated beyond bones, a spiritually bereft Auschwitz in Dannemora Penitentiary, my mother a gutted fish, buried in the excrement of disgrace, fish spines discarded, my mother searching for marrow to regenerate us, our mucked up, splattered family, my big brother in tatters, an alien eschewed, me exploding in silence, surviving as a dancing healer, afraid of my history, but deterred by no one, to escape the crushing, embrace the thorny stem of growth, adore the natural beauty around me, learn to love both grief and joy, transform my ashes into my humanity.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm taking a lot of notes, and you'll see why later after the reading. So Sandra, tell us why you chose this piece to share with us today about identity.
Okay, so I'm sharing my identity as a daughter of a prisoner. And the resonance for me in my father's incarceration with the Jewish Holocaust, which I find very haunting. Um, and through telling my story, I hope to shed light on universal issues that we all face as humans, that devastation as on individual levels, familial, cultural, historical levels, they don't have to signal the end of us. Um, the poem contains a message of survival and resilience. And my choice in life and in this poem has been to embrace life, love, growth, and humanity despite devastation. Um, in this poem, I survive as a dancing healer. And so it's also a poem about the classic journey of the wounded healer. And in my own life, I actually have a PhD in clinical psychology, and I had a 40-year career practicing psychotherapy before I retired to pursue my dream of creating creative writing. So I am sort of have been on this journey, and so it speaks to my story, and hopefully, although other people may have very different situations, there are other ways in to relate to this. So,
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And can you tell us about things you're working on now and how we can support you?
okay, so you mentioned my chapbook, and I'm so excited that I have my first chapbook that I'm hoping to get out into the world soon. And the title of that book is Unfurling the Scroll of Seven Decades. This poem is one of the poems in it. Actually, a lot of the other poems are much more narrative in nature. This is narrative, but I mean more specifically narrative about my story. But I thought that it was a good central uh, poem on identity to give today. Um, the the chapbook is really a series of memoir pieces in poetic form that tells my story as a Jewish woman impacted by my sociocultural background and throughout my 7 decades. Most people don't launch this kind of a writing career at 70, but that's what I'm doing. And so that makes sense. It was sort of the first thing that came out for me, though I'm writing other things as well. But the chapbook, as it unfurls, I face the shame of stigma, the pain of loss, and confront my aging and mortality. Um, I also share the joy I found in romantic love and motherhood, and with the generativity and enduring relationship connection emerging as sort of spiritual forces that flow through me over time. And chapter goes back and forth through time, and the story kind of emerges. And those are its themes. So thank you for, and I'm just getting other poems out into the world in literary magazines and online forums, and such gratitude for being here today.
Thank you so much, Sandra.
Mhm.
Our next reader is Erica Gill. Erica lives really close to me, but we've never met, so we have to fix that sometime. They launched their first full-length collection, Lone Yellow Flower, with Queerantia Press in April. And I think Erica's here, but doesn't have camera on. Are you here, Erica? This may be a different Erica. Okay, we'll keep going and we'll come back. Our fourth reader is Nana. And so I was reading some of Nana's work, and it's a lot of rhyming, like very short rhyming poetry that I've seen. And I thought, wow, how refreshing and new is this rhyme poetry, which I didn't even think was possible. So I was so impressed with that. Nana is also the poetry editor at the Hummingbird Journal. Nana, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Rachel. It's really lovely to be here and reading. I said to Rachel, this is the first time I'm actually reading my own words in public. I've read a lot of other people's words in public, but this is the first time I'm reading mine, so this is really exciting. I'm going to be reading a poem that I submitted to the Queer Poetry Awards a few months ago, and hopefully will be coming out in some form at some point soon. It's called Hypotheticals for a Homophobe, or a Queer Manifesto. Does my sassiness seduce you? Does it fill you with despise for the parts of you in question, parts you mask with wretched lies? I am earth and sky and starlight, every part of me divine. Butch jawline, my swish and soft wrist, every part of me is mine. My too muchness, does it scare you? Are you shocked I don't abide? Did you think I'd think too little of myself to look inside? Inside me I found what's precious, something I had wished would die. As I watched them kill my kindred, brimmed with tears I dared not cry. Now my confidence offends you? Because I don't hide myself? Does your mouth froth at my courage because you don't love yourself? You can redisguise your loathing, call it morals, culture, creed, but your hurting me won't save you, even if you make me bleed. If my faggotry is evil and against your God's accord, why am I so fucking brilliant, full of cause to praise the Lord, full of miracles and wonder and the mandates to exist, even when home is denied me, against all odds I persist. If your freedom were a question, asked and answered, and yet still, your whole life were lived in fear of what could steal it away still. Would you join my loud resistance? Raise a glass in awe that I choose to hail this frail existence. Say with pride, I will not die. So that is Hypotheticals for a Homophobe, or a Queer Manifesto. Thank
See
you.
what I mean with the rhyme, everybody? And can you talk to us about why you chose this poem?
Absolutely. My queerness is a big part of my identity, for many reasons, but also I think primarily for this context, because I come from and grew up in a country in which my queerness is not allowed. And so I think as I've grown into and comfortable with my queerness, it is important to kind of restate that and celebrate that, and kind of encourage folks to own their queerness as well. So that's part of the reason I chose this poem. But I think what I try to do with this poem also is, this is a very serious issue, not queerness, and also the alienation of queerness and queer rights. But I try to kind of infuse it with a certain level of levity, and tap into my inner drag queen and imagine what my inner drag queen would say, and turn it into a little bit of a manifesto that interrogates several of the facets in which homophobia shows up. It's bad faith questions, it's accusations, even some of the innocent homophobia, if you will, and kind of end on a note that's a bit more triumphant and positive, and say, we're not going anywhere too bad, but also there is hope for, homophobes. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention a huge part of what inspired this work. One of my idols is Maya Angelou, and so a huge part of what inspired this work was kind of the rhythm and the rhyme of Phenomenal Woman and Cage Bird. Yeah,
Beautiful. Thank you. What
thank
are
you.
you working on and how can we support you?
I'm glad you asked. I too am working on a chapbook. But yeah, I'm working a chapbook. I am shopping that around right now. So if there are any presses or publishers on the phone, I'd love to talk if you're looking for a new voice. Um, that's one thing. So the other thing also is I have some work in some anthologies. So please check out Roots and Ruins from Arcana Poetry Press, which you can also find Sandra's work in there as well. So two for one. Um, and also from Plant People Volume 5 from Plants and Poetry. You can find some of my work in there as well. And then, as you mentioned, Rachel, I'm a poetry editor at the Hummingbird Journal, and our first issue just launched today. So please go follow Hummingbird Journal. There's some really great work in there. I feel really honored that I helped to steward some of that stuff. Um, and finally, please follow me at One on a Road. I consider my Instagram a little bit of a word lab for things I'm starting kind of experimenting with and cooking up and that sort of thing. And I post stuff that I have had published in other in journals and anthologies there, so you can read some of my stuff out in the world on there as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our next reader is Jonathan Fletcher, and well, you can't host an event on identity without him. He won an award about it, the Drinking Gourd Award, for his chapbook, This Is My Body. Jonathan, will you please read?
Yes, thank you, Rachel, for inviting me. Thank you all for being here. This is amazing, Nana. That was such a phenomenal reading. I'm amazed with the diversity and just one subject like identity, but to see how how different everyone can take that. So I'll read two. The first one is and just a short visual description of myself. I'm a light-skinned Hispanic male, cisgender, black hair, black glasses, dark blue shirt, and I'm in a little casita in the back of my house. Okay, so field trip to a ranch. I remember the sound of hooves the most, the strike of dull steel to dirt. I remember the prints the horseshoes left, the shapes of you in native ground. I remember the black mane of my horse, the dark figure we cast on earth. I remember the reins in my brown hands, grip loose yet close, cool in touch. I remember my ease in the leather saddle, the steadiness of our short ride. I remember our separation, my foot stuck in the stirrup, the sneers on my bullies' faces. And I briefly forget the conquistador's shadows, tall and frenetic, centaur in shape, and their lighter eyes, wide and fixed, on colored sand, my ancestors' skin. And I also forget the manacles, the reddened wrists and ankles, and the metal bit inside my horse's mouth, the bridle firm around its dark head. Second one is titled Umbilical. It has a short epigraph. It's Quechua Chaca, Peru. Across a dark river runs a bridge as knotty as my belly button. Every year it is taken down, braided again from ichu grass. What happened to the cord between you and me? I don't know. I wish I knew. Like tourists who grasp straw-colored rope, traverse the bond between heights and water, I too would have gripped that long thread of bluish white, crossed the life I have in love to the one you and I never weaved. And then Last one. Whenever I start to hate my reflection, I think of good things that are brown. This is a list poem. Soil, my sister, almonds, my mother's eyes, wood, my old Lincoln logs, vicuña, my birth country's national animal, chocolate, my late Cocker Spaniel Charlie, leather, my first Volvo, brownies, the name of my dream college, violin, the piano my nephew plays, autumn, the power movement of the 60s and 70s, cinnamon, the pride I see in San Antonio, bread, the word I don't see in the census, acorns, the color I see in the mirror. Thank you.
Beautiful. And can you tell us why you chose these pieces to come together for this theme of identity?
Sure, Rachel. So yeah, it was kind of a challenge because I do have a lot of pieces on like sort of my racial, ethnic, like ancestry heritage, but I thought these ones kind of like went together in terms of like, with Field Trip to Ranch, it was kind of like showcasing some of the, um, like t talking to like my ancestors and sort of the ancestry that I don't know because as you know I was adopted when I was one and I never knew I've never met my biological family. It was international adoption, all the stuff, bad medical records. And with the second one, umbilical, I really, it was more about like my birth mother and kind of like, imagining her and the, connection, not just to her, but, uh, to my culture, my ancestral culture. And so that's where those kind of things went together. And then the last one, I thought, was kind of a synthesis because it's, for me, it's been a part of like, I know I'm Hispanic. I look Hispanic, at least past Hispanic, but at the same time, in a way, I don't feel so because I don't speak the language not fluently, and so, but it's a constant struggle. But in that last one, I really liked how I am accepting parts of myself, and want to always end with a positive poem. So that's where I saw all those three connecting. So thank you.
Great. And what are you working on and how can we support you?
So at the moment, I am working on a full-length collection of poetry. I don't know if it's going as well as I'd hoped. Like, I think I'm also working on a second chapbook, which I think actually has a little more promise. But so I am, working on multiple projects. I think the best way to support is, just to kind of follow me. I'm very active on Instagram, posting, different publications that I have. But beyond that, also, I follow a lot of writer friends, some from grad school, my MFA, and especially those who aren't getting into big presses. Maybe they get into an indie press, a small press. I try to highlight their work and do interviews with them, do book reviews. So if you could help me highlight others who just maybe have not had as big a platform as some other writers, that'd be great. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Our next reader is Lilyanne Kane. What I really like about their work is the way they talk about family and familial relationships as kind of a miss in understanding the self. Their work's in a lot of high-profile magazines. So, Lilyanne, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this. Um, so the poem I'm reading today is titled "The First Time I Disassociated, I Thought I Was Dying. I Found It Peaceful." Fire Eaters 1, 1997. We're clumped like sheared wool around the bonfire. Just family, some friends. My Mimi burning popcorn. Somebody speaks. "Lil, You okay? The conversation fades, words blinking out into a velvet backdrop. The kindling blackens, flame chewed. Wood collapses, like weathered lungs, like finger-pinched wings of a long-dead moth. A shadowy plume blisters the air around the fire. I sit downwind. The night burns out. I invite the smoke into my lungs. My eyes slip sideways, whirl into the water, wane under the waves, settle amongst seagrass. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilyanne. Can you tell us why you chose that poem for this theme of identity?
Of course. Um, so growing up as a non-binary autistic individual, I struggled to find connection with other people. It was hard for me to find myself reflected in a way that I could identify with. And through the years, I have kind of figured out how to navigate a feeling of isolation by practicing a mindful presence in my body and connecting to more felt experiences like sensations and emotions and connecting on a sort of biological level. Um, so this poem is about my family, my child self, kind of returning to the roots of who I am as an individual, as a member of my family, but also a member of humankind and a member of inhabitants of the earth.
Great, thank you. And what are you working on now, and how can we support you?
I am currently working on mostly individual poems. I'm trying to figure out a framework for a manuscript. I've got like a lot going on there, but I'm taking my time with it. So just have individual pieces out in the world right now. I do have a poem coming out in Black Lily Zine. If you are interested, check it out. It's got some really great poets in there. The cover work is gorgeous. And yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'd love to connect with you all and continue building community. I do post about my own publications and try to uplift others' work as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilyanne. Lilyanne's very funny. You should give them a follow. Our next poet, last but not least, is Taylor N. Williams. Now, Taylor is a graphic artist. So I first saw her work in Troublemaker Firestarter, but Taylor very sneakily dropped a chapbook, which she didn't tell anybody about, but I see you and I found it. It's called Hypersensitive and it's very good. Taylor, can you read for us, please?
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm a little nervous. You guys are all such great poets, but I'm so glad to be here. So this poem is from my chapbook, Hypersensitive, and it's very personal. It's a very short poem, and it's called Mother. My mother assembled me with fragile parts that she inherited from her own mother. The parts resided me as familiar pains, gently made mistakes, parts that hold weight. My mother included her own fragile heart, hills and valleys from previous erosion. She gave me fire from generations ago. While it burned me, it sealed my fate. And I hope to pass down the same heart and keep stoking the same fire. Assemble my own with care just as mine did for me. I'll pass down my own cliffs and soft sands one day. Thank you.
Now, that's a poem I'm familiar with because it's my favorite from your collection. Thank you. And why did you choose that to share with us today?
Well, growing up, I've observed a lot of mother-daughter relationships, just from having friends who've had complicated relationships with their mothers, and also me having my own complicated relationship with my mother. I remember growing up, I would tell myself, "Oh, I'll never be like my mother. I just don't want to be that person." And then sometimes I have to stop and like pause and realize, "Oh my gosh, I'm just like my mother." So she's is a huge part of my identity. I love her very much. Some days I can't stand her, but I think mother-daughter relationships really do shape people.
Thank you. And what are you working on now, and how can we best support you?
Well, hopefully the poems I'm writing now do turn into something. Maybe they'll turn into another chapbook. And the best way to support me would be to follow me on Instagram and interact with my art. That really is my passion. That's really what I turn to for comfort and therapy. So if you do follow me, you drop some likes. I don't need you to necessarily buy my art. Just, show some love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Thank you, everybody, for being here and for sharing. I think it's really important to normalize who we are as individuals and share about our identities as people and as artists and how that intersects. So thank you for doing that. I know it can be difficult to share these very personal pieces. So thank you very much for coming and for participating in Poetry in Brief for our launch event. Next month, December, our theme is thorns. You broke my fucking heart. And if you would like to read at that or want to nominate somebody to read at that, I did hold one or two spots. I think I have that scheduled for December 6th, also a Saturday, same time. I'll also plan to use this same link unless anything goes wrong with that. So you can just keep this link and rejoin then. I'm going to turn off the recording and go to some informal conversations. So anybody who doesn't want to stay for informal conversations, thank you for being here. Otherwise, I would like to shout out some EICs who are here and ask them if they're taking submissions, and then let other people say thank you to friends and family who came. I am stopping the recording now.